Today, we'll be talking about a man that helped revolutionize the art of bodybuilding. He is mentioned in the same breath as prominent bodybuilders like the Austrian legend Arnold Schwarzenegger and 8-time Mr. Olympia Ronnie Coleman. I am talking about none other than the chemist himself, Frank Zane. This is the story of how Frank Zane went from a scrawny 130 pounds kid to winning Mr. Olympia for 3 years in a row. We will also see some of the challenges and setbacks he has had in his career, as they are nothing short of tragic. So just sit back and enjoy the ride. Frank Zane was born on the 28th of June 1942 in the little town of Kingston, Pennsylvania in the United States. As a kid, Frank was kicked around and got into a lot of silly fights. He has mentioned this experience he had as a kid in interviews during the course of his career. Perhaps those series of events laid in his subconscious and would go on to fuel his passion for bodybuilding. His interest in bodybuilding became evident to him by the time he was 14. Frank found a popular magazine at the time, Muscle Magazine, in the trash can of his class in high school. He picked the magazine and read it from cover to cover. He mentioned that he was immediately fascinated with what he read in the magazine, and from then on, promised himself to become a bodybuilder. And with that, a star was born. After his encounter with Muscle Magazine, Frank spent the next 3 years chasing after bodily perfection. He added close to 30 pounds to his body mass, which much of it went to his muscles. Primarily, his workout and exercise routine revolved around weightlifting. At the time, Frank was training at the Wilkes-Barre YMCA gym in Pennsylvania. He would later go on to buy personal training equipment as a teenager and make bodybuilding his lifetime endeavor. As his passion for bodybuilding and working out grew, his folks began to show their disapproval. For example, his father once got so angry with Frank's devotion to bodybuilding that he said, "Build yourself up by cutting the grass." But Frank was not deterred. He kept his head up and kept working out. During the course of his career, Frank Zane got the nickname The Chemist. While this name was synonymous to his style and bodybuilding methods, he was also renowned for his academic proficiency in chemistry and mathematics. After finishing high school, Frank got into college and pursued a Bachelor of Science degree at Wilkes University in Pennsylvania, where he graduated in 1964. After college, Frank made a career out of teaching the sciences. He taught subjects like mathematics and chemistry in high schools in states such as Florida, California, and New Jersey. Frank Zane spent over a decade as a teacher, whilst maintaining a perfect body shape and training every day to be the ultimate bodybuilder. There are also indications that he had a cordial relationship with Arnold Schwarzenegger, even teaching the Austrian when he struggled with mathematics as he attended the Santa Monica City College. By all accounts, Frank Zane lived up to his name as the Chemist. However, Frank didn't end his academic pursuits there. He took another bachelor's degree in psychology from the California State University, Los Angeles in 1977. He also acquired a master's degree in experimental psychology, also from California State University, San Bernardino, in 1992. All through this period of his academic study and career as a teacher, Frank kept up his absolutely tremendous and tedious workout to get the perfect body as a bodybuilder. But let's backtrack a little and talk a bit about Frank's family. Frank met the woman who would come to be known as his wife in 1966 in Florida. Frank had moved to the city of Tampa to focus on training and competing as a professional bodybuilder. Although he still taught in high schools at Florida, he was beginning to build a professional career in the sport. While in Tampa, he taught at a local junior high school, which happened to be where he met his would-be sister-in-law, Pat. Pat is the younger sister to Christine, Frank's wife. Because of his physique, gentle demeanor, and academic intelligence, Pat took it upon herself to invite Frank to the family's home and introduce him to her sister. Frank found out that his would-be wife had passion for the creative arts and was also interested in pageants, and she has participated in many over the years. So when Frank was chasing titles like Mr. America, his wife also participated in beauty pageants in the local area, winning all. Frank showed her some of his workout regimen and how he was able to achieve his body, and Christine was able to replicate it to her workout style, after which she came home with a winner's trophy. There's been no mention of Frank Zane and Christine ever having children, if they did have kept it from the public eye for a really long time. Frank and Kristen have been married for close to 60 years and are still together, waxing stronger in love and running the family business together. Let's discuss in detail Frank's bodybuilding career and how he came to be known as one of the revolutionaries in the sport. In the 1960s, Frank began to compete in bodybuilding contests. He moved up the ranks fast, and in 1968, he took home the Mr. America title for the first time. He began to rise to fame after winning this title, creating a legacy for himself in the sport. Bodybuilding reached its peak in the 1960s and 1970s, as it was referred to as the Golden Era, with Frank Zane and others like Arnold Schwarzenegger leading the way. His physique was beautiful and well-proportioned, making him stand out from the competition. Frank Zane was able to dominate bodybuilding competitions all around the world thanks to his commitment, self-control, and careful attention to detail in his diet and exercise. But like I have said several times in this video, Frank was a revolutionary. How so? Well, think of it this way. Bodybuilding had a different perspective in the 1950s and early 1960s. The focus was more on building body mass and looking bulky. The sexiness and aesthetics that many now look for in bodybuilders only began with Frank. See, Frank wasn't a very tall man. He stood at about 5 feet 9 and weighed less than 190 pounds almost throughout his career. So he didn't have a bulky build, but still his muscle tone and body structure was to die for. He built a nearly perfect body. Frank was also very careful about his diet in addition to his workouts. He was aware that attaining the best possible results for muscular growth and recovery required a diet rich in nutrients and well-balanced. He has mentioned that he had to efficiently and keeps his body fat low by closely observing his caloric intake and macronutrient ratios. His achievement was also greatly influenced by his discipline. The truth is, Frank Zane is one of the most disciplined people ever. He never let himself deviate from his training and diet regimens, making sure he always reached his optimal physical state. His persistent dedication enabled him to get the most out of every workout and advance over time. Okay, let's delve into Frank's IFBB career. IFBB is the International Federation of Bodybuilding and Fitness. It is the highest governing body when it comes to the sport of bodybuilding and fitness. Frank Zane is an unforgettable name in the IFBB records, having attained 18 titles. They are as follows. In 1965, Frank was the winner in the medium height category of the IFBB Mr. Universe. In 1966, he took first prize in the IFBB Mr. America medium category and won the same prize again in 1967. Frank took third place in the IFBB Mr. Universe tall category in the same year. In 1968, Frank was the winner in both Mr. America and Mr. Universe. For the next couple of years, he didn't win any other prizes in any IFBB competitions until 1972. He took fourth place in the IFBB Mr. Olympia, under 200 pounds in that year. He won again in 1974 in the under 200 pounds category of the IFBB Mr. Olympia. By the next year, in 1975, he came fourth place in the IFBB Mr. Olympia under 200 pounds category. He went for the 1976 IFBB Mr. Olympia under 200 pounds and took second place. However, the next 3 years would mark Frank's best years in the sport of bodybuilding. He won back-to-back Mr. Olympia from 1977 to 1979, both in the under 200 pounds category and the overall winner in the competition. Frank tried to make a comeback in 1980 for the fourth time in a row, but he sustained a near-fatal injury in his home, which made him gain weight in the wrong places and hospitalized for a long time. But he still came around for the competition and got third place. In 1982, came back to contest for the title of Mr. Olympia, 200 pounds category, but he was defeated and got second place. 1983 was the last year that Frank Zane would compete in IFBB's Mr. Olympia. In that year, he got fourth place, having sustained yet another injury from a bicycle accident that year. We'll talk about his various injuries later in the video. Apart from his extensive record in the IFBB competitions, Frank Zane made his name in other notable tournaments for bodybuilding. For example, In 1961, he competed in the Mr. Pennsylvania tournament, where he took 17th place. He came back strong in 1962 when he competed for Mr. Keystone and he won the tournament. He tried to make a comeback in 1963 for Mr. Keystone, but disappointedly went home in second place. But in 1965, he won Mr. Sunshine State, and later in the year won Mr. Universe at an IFBB competition. He also competed in the National Amateur Bodybuilders Association, winning titles from 1970 to 1972. He won Mr. Universe in back-to-back tournaments 3 times in a row. Without a doubt, Frank Zane made an indelible impact and an unforgettable legacy as a bodybuilder. Let's talk about his legacy and how he revolutionized bodybuilding. He was renowned for his exquisite physical appearance and remarkable symmetry. He distinguished himself by emphasizing balance, proportion, and a beautiful overall appearance. This emphasizes how crucial it is for bodybuilders to have both optimal muscular development and size. As an adherent of the mind-muscle link, he emphasized the value of concentrating on the targeted muscle while working out. Better muscle engagement and development can be achieved with this method, which is a lesson that any aspiring bodybuilder may learn. Frank Zane frequently used intense and precise training techniques. He placed an emphasis on correct form and deliberate movements, favoring quality over quantity. This supports the notion that targeted, purposeful workouts, rather than massive volume, are sometimes more helpful for good training. Even after retiring, Frank kept growing and imparting his wisdom. His willingness to pick up new skills and adjust to different training regimens emphasizes how important it is to maintain curiosity and always improve one's technique, whether one pursues bodybuilding or anything else. His impact goes beyond the arena of competition. His courses, books, and contributions to the field of fitness instruction demonstrate his commitment to information sharing. This emphasizes how education and mentoring may have an impact that goes well beyond an individual's accomplishments. Frank Zane left behind a legacy that emphasized bodybuilding creativity, the value of mental focus in training, the capacity to overcome failures, and the never-ending quest of knowledge and advancement. These lessons can motivate everyone aiming for success in their chosen industry, not only aspiring bodybuilders. It's time to talk about the sad part of Frank Zane's story, his injuries, and subsequent retirement. See, one thing you should know about Frank was that he more or less ruled the golden era of bodybuilding, bringing innovations and ultimately changing the game. In the late 70s, he was Mr. Olympia for 3 years in a row and attempted a 4th, but was unfortunate. So, what really happened? Well, one noteworthy event that happened in 1979 was when Frank was working on his land and had a very bad accident. He was struck by a 600-pound bale of hay, which caused serious injuries such as a ruptured bladder and crushed pelvis. The impact of this accident on Zane's bodybuilding career was significant. The prolonged recuperation period and residual physical constraints hindered his capacity to work out at the same level of intensity. Although he tried to compete in the next tournament in the next year, he couldn't make the top position and finished behind other notable bodybuilders. In 1980, Frank had yet another accident. He tried to jump into the pool in his home and sustained a life-threatening injury. This was what he said in an interview. "One day I jumped in the pool. I hit the lip of the pool in my urethra, smashed my urethra, and his blood gushing out of my penis. I went to the hospital, and I ended up competing anyway, you know. But I wasn't at my very best. I was very muscular. I lost about 15 pounds of muscle and I didn't win." However, his injury woes didn't end there. In 1983, he sustained a shoulder injury where he had to undergo a surgery on his shoulder, after which he would no longer participate in professional bodybuilding competitions. He bowed out of professional bodybuilding competitions and ultimately retired from bodybuilding. So what does Frank Zane do now? Well, at 81 years, Frank still works out and eats healthy, although this can't be compared to his prime. In addition to running a successful fitness mail-order company, Frank instructs students from all over the world who want to learn how to succeed with weight training and nutrition. In her spare time, Christine, Frank's wife, crafts exquisite jewelry using precious metals and jewels. He also began a weight training, nutrition, stress management, and deep relaxation program called the Zane Experience for anyone interested. The company is over 30 years old now and is still offering premium services to its customers. Also, he's making good use of modern social media platforms such as Instagram. He regularly will share a photo of his present body online to demonstrate that symmetry is always in style and that the rest of us need to watch our diets. Frank is also an author, trainer, and speaker. He has impacted many lives through his experience. It is more than evident that even when his life hit a snag through a series of life-threatening injuries, he didn't give up. The sport of bodybuilding is extremely physical and is capable of altering one's life journey. Frank had more than 3 near-fatal incidents, but was able to pull through until he retired in the 1980s. He had a balanced view of himself. Although he was not as bulky and huge as many other bodybuilders, he was able to set himself apart. From a young boy at 14 who weighed less than 130 pounds to a 3-time Mr. Olympia, he not only revolutionized how bodybuilding was viewed, he made the sport more attractive to a wider audience. So, to my viewers who are fitness enthusiasts and aspiring bodybuilders, I think we can learn from the life of the chemist. Be your own person. I know it may be difficult to do so in an activity like bodybuilding, but remember, energy and persistence conquers all things. Choose a regimen that is suitable to your body and stick to it. If you're pursuing a career in bodybuilding, a personal trainer would help your journey go smoothly. Have a good rapport with your colleagues. Frank is known for his friendship with other trainers like Arnold Schwarzenegger and other notable Olympia winners. All these lessons from the life of Frank Zane, in spite of his tragic story, are some of the best life lessons you can get anywhere. If you like this video, do let me know in the comments, and obviously leave your likes too. Do not forget to share and subscribe to our channel, Legend Bodybuilders, where we discuss legendary bodybuilders forgotten in time. Above all, activate your notification bell so you don't miss the next video when it drops. Until next time, do take care and stay safe.